Good morning, students. Today I am going to teach you the first chapter of your physics syllabus, that is electrostatics. Electrostatics is a branch of physics that deals with charges at rest. In our this definition, we have used the term charge. So, first of all, we would like to know what is the meaning of charge. Charge is the basic physical property of matter due to which it can experience or exert electrostatic force or Coulomb's force. For the first time, this term charge was coined by William Gilbert, and later on an American scientist, Benjamin Franklin, went on to say that charge is of two types. Charge has some basic properties. Out of them, 4 basic properties are discussed in this chapter. We will look into these properties step by step. So, for the beginning, we go on to describe the properties of charge. So, the first property of charge is that it is additive in nature. Additive in nature means that since charge is a scalar quantity, net charge on any object is simply equal to algebraic sum of individual charges given to it. Number 2, charge is invariant in nature. Unlike other physical quantities such as mass, length and time, which are variant according to relativistic mechanics, charge is invariant. Now, what is the meaning of invariant? This word means that the magnitude of charge does not depend upon its speed. That is, the magnitude of charge is independent of its speed. This is the meaning of term invariant. Number 3, or the third property of charge, is that it is conservative in nature. Conservation of charge means that during any kind of physical, chemical or nuclear event, net charge always remains conserved. That is, net charge before an event and after an event is always equal. This statement is true for any kind of physical, chemical or even nuclear events. After this, the fourth and most important physical property of charge is that charge is quantized. Now, in order to explain quantization of charge, I am going to give you a simple analogy. Suppose I tell you to give me 1 rupee. You can easily do so. If I ask you for 3 rupees, you can give me that also. If I ask you for 5 rupees, obviously you can do that also. But suppose if I ask you for 1.3 rupees, you can never give me exactly 1.3 rupees, because the smallest unit of money used here is 1 rupee. Similarly, since an object acquires charge due to transfer of electron, and electron is a particle, so it can be transferred only in integral multiple. This means that charge on any object will always be equal to integer times charge present on a single electron. That is, Q equal to N into E, where Q is charge on any object, N is any integer, and E is equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 Coulomb. After this, we proceed on to learn about the various units of charge. SI unit of charge is coulomb, but in CGS system there are two types of unit: electrostatic unit and electromagnetic unit. The electrostatic unit of charge is stat coulomb or Franklin, while electromagnetic unit of charge is absolute coulomb. The correlation between these various types of units are: number 1 coulomb is equal to 3 into 10 raised to the power 9 stat coulombs, and number 2, 1 absolute coulomb is equal to 10 coulombs. Using these mathematical relations, you can easily convert one unit into other. After this, we would like to know that how can we check whether an object is charged or not. For doing this, we have various types of apparatus that can be used, like a voltameter, ballistic galvanometer, Wilson cloud chamber, zinc sulfide screen, and gold leaf electroscope. Apart from this, there is another apparatus, that is electrometer, but that is not in your syllabus. The most important apparatus out of these is gold leaf electroscope, that has been discussed in your syllabus. Gold leaf electroscope simply consists of a glass box that has been evacuated using a vacuum pump, and it has metal rod attached to its top. This metal rod is connected to two foils of gold. Now if an object is charged and we touch it to the metal rod of electroscope, the charge flows through this metal rod to the gold foil, and a divergence is experienced in the gold foils. But if the object is neutral, then obviously gold foils will not diverge. This arrangement can also be used to detect which type of charge is present on an object. After this, what are different methods of charging? The first method of charging an object is through friction. Whenever two objects are rubbed together, then one object loses electron while other object gains electron. The object which loses electron becomes positively charged, while the object that gains electron becomes negatively charged. Now the question is that which object will lose electron and which object will gain electron? This can be answered by work function of both the objects. Work function is the minimum amount of energy needed to release electron from the bulk of an object. So that object which has lower work function will obviously lose electron, while the object which has higher work function will gain electron. Or we can also say that the object which has lower work function will become positively charged, and the object which has higher work function will become negatively charged. The second method of charging an object is conduction. Just as if you connect a bucket containing water to a bucket which has no water through a conducting tube, then water will flow from the bucket which has water towards the bucket which does not have water. Similarly, if a charged object is connected to an uncharged object through a conducting wire, then charge will flow from charged object towards the uncharged object till both of them acquire same electrostatic potential. After this, The third method of charging is induction. Now, induction is most complicated out of these three methods of charging. While charging an object through induction, we bring a charged metallic plate towards an uncharged metallic slab. Suppose our charged metallic plate has a positive charge, then that side of metallic slab which is closer to the plate will become negatively charged due to migration of electrons within it, while the other side becomes positively charged due to deficiency of electron in that region. This is called induction. Now, another question is that whether induction can be used to bring both of charges, or whether it can be used to bring a single charge also. The answer is that it can be used to charge an object by a single type of charge also. But for this we have to use earthing. So far we have discussed properties of charge. In next session we will learn about various properties of electrostatic fields and related phenomena such as potential, potential gradient, etc. Thank you.